And we're live. Okay, look at
Hey
that.
now.
Because we're
Hey.
streaming on YouTube. Hello, everyone. Greg wants to apologize for being a little tardy.
My fault entirely. Coming off the road, little groggy. Threw a move on the wife this morning. Got shot down. Never really got over it.
Okay, I'm going to tweet. I'm tweeting. Can you retweet the tweet that I just tagged you in?
I shall.
Thank you. All right, and I'm going to go over there for a second. There being YouTube to just make sure everything is working as planned. Wonderful. Okay.
Just retweeted it.
Perfect. Okay. I hope the chat room can hold everyone.
I know. What is the maximum in the chat room? We haven't hit the maximum yet, right?
I mean, the maximum is probably like 1 million, and
Yeah.
we've come close. We've just butted right up against it, but we've done a little shy of 1 million
All right.
simultaneous viewers. Should we start?
Let's start.
And we're going to have Pete put in the music after. So,
Okay. Yo, Fitzdog here.
hello, Allison Rosen also here.
Um, and when we say we're here, that you may sound the sound quality may be a little lower than usual because my recorder is malfunctioning. My friend Andrew, who's a geek, is going to fix it for me this week. So anyway, we are using the audio from our QuickTime recorders on our, well, I am on mine. Allison may sound fine.
I'm probably going to sound fine. Yeah, because I get that you're like, I'm unprepared for this test. Let's both plan to bomb the test. And I just don't know if I want to.
Right.
I'm sorry that I
So
went
like in a
straight
marathon, you're not the one when a guy stumbles near the finish line. You're not the one that picks him up and helps him still win the race. You go
I
ahead and
am,
just win
though.
the race.
I am, though. I don't know. I'm sorry that I feel like I actually, in trying to be funny, I went to possibly a painful school analogy.
Yeah.
Did it hurt?
A little bit. I just see you as the kid, even though I have a lot of visions of you. You were in a
Thank you.
rock and roll band, and so I know that you are cool.
That's my cred.
It is your cred. You always have that, and you can wear that like a badge. But also, I see you as like when you help me with my computer and you geek out, and I also see you as you were probably a really good student who
Yes, I was. And I was
who did your
quiet.
homework.
I was conscientious. I was quiet. I was nice. I was scared. I was insecure. And I was sweet and also awkward.
Yeah.
So I remember this one time, this girl, and I'm going to use her real first name. It was Darcy. She's probably a lovely person now. But anyway, I got my test. It was in geography or something. And I got my test back, and I had gotten a B, and she got a C. But we had both put like the wrong. It didn't just turn on this one answer, but we had both put the same answer for something, and I didn't get it marked wrong, even though it was wrong. So she took up both of our tests to the teacher,
Marcy.
Darcy. But
Darcy.
Darcy had Marcy energy. But anyway, now what do you feel like would be fair in that scenario? What should have happened?
You mean if I was the teacher?
You're the teacher and you see that you forgot to mark something wrong on one student's test.
I would take the points off of you, but because Dirty Darcy is there and she's watching and she's going to report it to her parents. So I take the points off, give them back to you on the next test.
That would have been nice. At the time, I felt a grave injustice had been done by Darcy Marcy because I ended up getting it marked wrong. I got a lower grade on the test, and I was like, oh, thanks a lot. There had been a bank error in my favor.
Yeah.
And you just undid it for me.
Is there a nice person named Darcy? Darcy seems like Keith. Like
Ooh, I have a Keith thing as well.
Yeah.
I feel like this is so rude to the reason I'm feeling uncomfortable is because one time Daniel went off on Ainsley's and a lovely
Ainsley's.
Ainsley. It's
Never
a
heard of
name.
it.
It's not
Never
that
heard of
popular,
it.
but it is a name. Or it's not that common, but it is a name. And Daniel said something about Ainsley, and then like a lovely listener named Ainsley wrote in, and together we have felt terrible ever since. So I'm sorry to have to besmirch Keith's. There's another K one that I find to be problematic. I can't remember. But yeah, Keith's, Darcy's, some names they just come with an attitude.
Why are Bruce's mostly gay?
Well, it's interesting you say that because apparently in the old days, Bruce was a go-to name to refer to someone homosexual. But then with like Bruce Springsteen, it changed. And now, to my mind, because I'm young, Greg, very young, I think of Bruce as like a macho He-Man dude. You
I
think of
see him
it
as
as
a bear, a gay bear. He's a manly gay man. You know, he's hairy and he's a little overweight. He's a bear, but I think maybe because because you can lisp it.
oh boy.
I think that's why people chose it, because you can make a gay lisping sound. But I was friends with a kid the first Bruce I ever met, kid on my freshman dorm named Bruce, came out of the closet freshman year, and we embraced him.
Good. Are you trying to get me canceled?
I thought you already got canceled by that women's group.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
By the way, I've been thinking about that a lot, and there's a question I want to ask you.
All right.
When you first posted that your nanny had ghosted you,
yes,
did you at any point say that she was Latino?
No.
Latina?
No.
So, wasn't it racist on their end that they suddenly started saying that you were racist?
Well, yes, they were. I mean, I don't know. Is that racist? I mean, they were making a lot of assumptions. They were assuming my relationship with her was exploitative. And that somehow, I don't know, like that I had coerced her. They weren't saying that about me necessarily, but if all the things they were saying are true, then what? It's like a coercive relationship. She could have quit.
I mean, look, the human experience is very random. And the fact that we were born into very comfortable backgrounds with intact parents and all that stuff, like, you know, we're the lucky ones.
Yes.
Should we feel that we can't hold people from a different socioeconomic background to the same standard as we would somebody else? I don't think so. I think if you're working for somebody, you're working for somebody.
Yeah,
period.
and by the way, I wasn't saying, I asked her, you know, I gave her this spreadsheet of tasks and she fell short on numbers 8 through 14. Like, I wasn't being a persnickety cunt like they are. All I was saying is, it hurt my feelings and surprised me that after 3.5 years, she moved away without letting me know. Like, that's all I was saying.
Yeah,
I feel like that's like
complain about it.
That's basic human. And now my son is dreaming about her and asking about her a lot. It really was like I wasn't trying to cast her in, and I was just kind of asking, like, has anyone experienced this? Is this a thing? Because
so
I do
both
know
of you have
I don't
kids
know.
that are dreamers.
What?
Both of you and your nanny both have kids that are dreamers. No, but I mean, just specifically though, I would love to know that you didn't mention she was Latino, and then they started pulling the race stuff on you.
No, I didn't mention it, and then they started demanding that I answer the question, and I was just like, I'm done with this thread. Yeah, it is. Oh my God, this. So now I have got to stop looking at this. For anyone who's just tuning into this episode, apologies about Greg's audio. If you're a new listener, this is a private Facebook group for moms that I am a member of, and they are just the height of ridiculous. And I posted something kind of vulnerable, but pretty benign on there, and I just got ripped to shreds, and it really bothered me. But then some women like privately reached out to me to offer support. So anyway, since then, I will never ever post on there again. However, I need to stop even reading it because it is like, it's become like a soap opera.
Are
and
they
it is like a
continuing to comment on yours, or just
no,
you
not
said
on
it?
mine,
Yeah.
but other, it's most of the posts are just like, hey, I scored Disneyland tickets, but now I'm nervous, da da da, or like people selling stuff, asking questions, but then occasionally it'll be kind of a vulnerable post, and occasionally they will just, it's like mob mentality. They'll just pile on to a mom for saying something wrong or for appearing
Wow.
privileged and
Jeez.
just excoriate her. And so recently a woman posted on there, and to be honest, she was like, this just happened, am I overreacting? And she was kind of overreacting. But the length to which they went to let her know that she was overreacting out of privilege and just like the condemnation was kind of insane. And then there was post after post after post of people continuing to rip her to shreds. And then she apologized, but in a way that they didn't feel was enough of an apology. And so then they muted her because she didn't have the right. They muted her temporarily because she didn't have the right to continue to trigger the women.
Will you do us all a favor and one of two things: either get off that fucking chain, or please start bringing us quotes that you can read on the podcast. Is that not allowed?
You're not allowed to take screenshots. I'm like flirting. I feel like if I get kicked out, so be it. Someone's got to get me out of there, whether it be me or them.
Yeah.
In like 12 step, how, I don't know if you're familiar with this phrase, like God did for you what you couldn't do for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
God needs to get me out of this group. But so by even talking about it, I feel like I'm like inviting being booted out. So maybe I'll just push it a little further and bring actual quotes.
Bring quotes. I need a couple choice ones, because this is you have access to a world that this country is fascinated by, the precious PC woke shaming community.
It's so upsetting to me, or it's eye-opening, because in general, I am on the side of the progressive, the woke, the politically correct in a way. So to see it go so far, like there are people like they are making the rest of us look bad with their insanity.
Right. And they create a reflexive response from the other side.
Yes.
So instead of the message getting through, it's just going to get resistance because they're being so fucking obnoxious and
Right.
self-righteous about it.
Right. And that's the thing, is that they are not, when they're like being so vicious, even though they're claiming that they're trying to educate people, there's no way you're getting through when you're being that hostile and aggressive. And I know that to say you should say it in a nicer way is considered tone policing. And you're like definitely not tone policing and gaslighting and silencing, and you're like not allowed to do that at all. At the same time, I believe if you actually, like, if you want the message to be heard, it can't be used as you can't be using it as a cudgel.
No,
Because
it's
once
supposed
someone
to.
feels personally beat up, they're not going to listen anymore.
Right. You want to raise people's awareness, not their shame and guilt.
Yeah.
But especially with mothers. I mean, when you're a mother, you're so vulnerable, and you're
That's
going to a site
right.
like that because you're looking for support.
Yes. So the fact that it's like changed entirely is, I don't know. Someone needs to like write a TV show about it or publish it.
There you go. That's your TV show.
I should do it. Speaking of stuff like that, Greg,
Yeah.
I spent a hearty amount of time today thinking about people who at one point were sort of at the same point, success and career-wise, as me, or maybe even behind me, who just eclipsed me. And just thinking like, what happened? It's such an ugly thing to admit. And yet I like to admit to ugly things. Do you fall into that?
I do, but then I come back to, I look at my family and I just say, I made a choice. There was, because when I was in my prime, Allison, in 1996, I had a big development deal with Fox. I had just done Letterman. I was doing a show on USA, and a lot was going on. And a guy from the New York Times wrote a 2-page story about me as like,
Oh,
this guy
wow.
is about to break.
That's so cool.
So anyway, so you know, whatever, 20 years later, I had him on my podcast because he had a book out and whatever. And he asked me on the podcast, he goes, I really thought you were going to make it big. What happened? And
Oh
it
my
was like
gosh.
a fucking gut punch. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, like, first of all, I've done very nicely for the
Yeah.
last 30 years. I've got a nice house, cars are paid for, college is paid for, got a retirement account. I've lived my dream. I've enjoyed
Right.
my work, and I've raised a family where
Yeah.
I
And
have
you've
shown
been
up
able,
and been a good parent.
right. You're a good husband and you're a good dad.
So I feel like my life is as complete as it could be. But then once in a while, I catch myself seeing somebody who I started with. And I try not to look at them and go, yeah, but do they have a family? Because you look at them and you go, yeah, Jim Gaffigan does have a good family. And he is a good father. And he's
Right.
still doing way better than me. But I also realize, you know what? We all get dealt a certain hand. I have depression. I have ADD. Whatever else is going on with me, I was not able to show up and tweet back at people every day consistently because I went to a dark place and I disappeared for a few days.
Hmm.
And, sometimes I had a deal for my own show and I didn't necessarily do the best job I could have on the script because I got overwhelmed. And some people don't get overwhelmed. And then you do your best, and you do your best. I mean, I know you, nobody tries harder than you, Allison. And so you got to just look at it and go, for whatever reason, I am happily married. I'm a good mom, and I've struck a balance in my life. And balance was more important to me for whatever reason than only going after my career.
Well, I don't know if, see, maybe the narrative is you don't try hard enough, and that's why I'm not where I want to be. I don't know.
No, I
I
think
don't
that
think it is. Sorry, go ahead. You tell me about me.
I think there's a subconscious level where my father once said to me, everybody is where they want to be. There's a
Hmm.
point at which I could have worked harder at certain junctures in my career. And I didn't consciously choose not to, but there was a part of me that was afraid of being more successful, of losing touch with being grounded and who I really am and all that stuff. Irrational or not, that I had that fear, and it cut me off from pushing myself further. Have I done enough therapy? Yes, I did the therapy. I quit the drinking. I did. I can't look back and say I should have done anything different than I did. And I have to just own my life and say, what a great life.
Hmm.
Look at your life. You bought
I
a
know.
house. You got a beautiful lawn with green grass on it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's quite a segue. But then I want to get back to because I have more to say about that. But I mean, if you're going to talk about how beautiful my lawn is, I have to tell you that it's beautiful because I've been using Sunday Lawn Care. They take out all the guesswork and unwanted chemicals so you can grow a beautiful lawn that's better for people, pets, and the planet. So what you do is you type in your address and then they like use this magical software. Magical, I don't even know if is it software, is it
I think it's
AI?
drones.
Is it a drone? I don't think it's drones. Is it a hamster on a wheel connected to a globe? I don't know. But they know about your soil. But then to make sure that it's extra dialed in, they have you send a soil sample. And I don't own a shovel, so I just use the tablespoon. But I felt like this is what some people call resourceful. And then I sent them my soil, and then now I have like a garden, a lawn care plan, and I'm resourceful, but I'm not handy. But I myself was able. You just hook the lawn care, the bag of stuff onto the solution, onto your hose, and then you spray it in the yard. I did it myself, and then you have a beautiful lawn. It could
15
not,
minutes. I got the same thing. 15
right?
minutes.
Could not be easier. Let Sunday take the guesswork out of growing a greener, more beautiful lawn this spring. Visit getsunday.com/childish to get $20 off your custom lawn plan at checkout. That's $20 off your custom lawn plan at getsunday.com/childish. Again, that's getsunday.com/childish. I mean, if we're talking about great stuff, I also want to tell you Mother's Day is right around the corner.
Oh
I mean,
boy.
it's just a hop and a skip
Yeah.
around the corner. I am going to tell you what you should get for your mom, what you should get for your wife, what you get for the mothers in your life is a beautiful, lasting symbol of love. And by that, I mean something from Pandora Jewelry. They have such beautiful stuff. They're more than just charms, but I think that is maybe initially what they were known for, are these bracelets with these charms, which are like beautiful and also hip. But they also have rings, earrings, necklaces. My personal favorite thing is they have stacking rings. I don't know if you're into the stacking ring look, Greg, but I am. And I was just drooling over their stacking rings. Let mom know you'll always be by her side with a message of love that she can wear every day. Shop April 22nd through the 26th and receive a... Wait a minute. Nope, that's not going to work. Pete, take that out, please. Okay. Thank the mom in your life for always being there with a sparkling gift from Pandora Jewelry. Go to us.pandora.net/childish to start shopping or find a store near you. That's us.pandora.net/childish. us.pandora.net/childish. Okay. So, just a quick thing because I imagine people will relate to it. I think I have this insecurity that holds me back from putting myself in the position to maybe be getting stuff. Or I don't know. I have this idea in my head. I'm not ready. I need to look a different way. And so I will put off going after opportunities, not all of them, but some of them, because I'm like, oh, I need to lose more weight, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. I need to get my body in a certain way. I don't fit the mold of what they're looking for. I have to get closer to it, even if I can never be it. And I think at this point in my life, at this point in the world, I could just dispense with that. And I could be like, no, I'm not, I don't look like Maria Menounos, and I love her, by the way, but
She could lose a few pounds, though.
Wait, is it me?
No, she should.
She's perfection
No, she's perfect. She's
in
perfection.
human form.
Yes.
But I can also find, and also I feel like I don't have anything to wear, and I don't know, and, I just get very like uncomfortable. But I could also, be like, this is me. I'm proud of what I look. I'm proud of who I am, and I'm gonna wear fun clothes, and I'm gonna go into whatever room it is, and I'm gonna dazzle them. And it's like, I just can't get to there for some reason. But at a certain point, it kind of is a choice. It's a choice to stay in my comfort zone.
Right. It's a choice to accept yourself.
Yes.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, I really think, like, I was thinking about how I don't work out like I should. Like this past year, I'm literally in the worst shape I've ever been in. And I'm embarrassed by my body. And I thought to myself, all right, I got to go to the gym. I got to change that. And it's like, no, I got to change how I'm seeing myself.
Yes.
And the rest will follow. The creativity, the productivity, the discipline, it all comes once you accept yourself and accept where you are in your life. And then everything else becomes like a manifestation of that.
Right. I did have this shift of perception that was kind of magical because I was sitting there feeling like I'm not enough, I don't do enough, I haven't achieved it, just all that negative stuff that I feel like so many of us feel. And then I was like, what if instead of feeling all that, I just tried to regard my life as maybe it appears from the outside, that like I'm really lucky that I have a profitable podcast. I work from home. I have 2 beautiful children, a lovely husband. I have a house, and I've done some really cool stuff in my life. Yeah. And I really don't have anything to complain about. Like, what if I lived that way? That'd be cool.
Gratitude is everything. And not just gratitude, but you also have to write down things you're proud that you've done, like what you just said. Write down things that you've accomplished that you're proud of, and then also write down things that you're thankful for. And if you do that on a regular basis, I think you're going to feel different about yourself and understand that, like, you're never going to get there. I mean, it all sounds like fucking rock songs from the 80s of like, it's not the destination, it's the journey, whatever. But like, it really is all stuff that you've heard a million times. But if you can just accept where you are and who you are, then you're not going to be comparing yourself to other people as much, which is the downfall of everything.
Know. And also, like, what is it, the work that I want, or is it the validation and the approval?
Well, also think about what, if you could do anything career-wise, what would you be doing now that's that different than what you're doing? You're interviewing interesting people.
Right.
You're expressing yourself. You have communication back and forth with your listeners.
I know, it's pretty great.
How much would you really change? I mean, granted, the checks might be bigger, but you're not struggling. You guys are fine.
No, I know. I always felt like this is headed toward me having a full-time television career, like being on The View or on The Talk or I don't know, one of those shows. So I feel like that's where the dream that I'm like, can I let that one go? Or how much do I still really want that? And if I do really want that, what steps do I take to pursue that? Or do I just let it go and figure if it's meant for me, it'll come to me?
Right. Well,
I don't know. What was your dream? What's your version of that?
Or I wanted to host a late night talk show, but now I feel like that's kind of a lame job. I feel like there's just been too many of them. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, the networks don't seem to allow people to do them in any different way, except, first you stand at this spot and you tell these kinds of jokes, and then you sit behind your desk and you talk to the band leader. Like, it's all so rote. And then even the interviews are so rote because celebrities are all doing so many talk shows and podcasts that they're sick of talking and they're saying the same thing. So it's like, that's kind of gone. Mm-hmm. So if I could do anything, I think I would probably just want to be making more money, but that doesn't matter. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Right. Yeah. We're fine. And listeners, you guys are fine.
Yes.
And you're also the best. And listen, on the next episode, we are going to read some Apple Podcast reviews. So keep those reviews coming so we have a bountiful selection to choose from when I select some reviews to read, which will make Greg blush.
There you go.
Should we do some news, perhaps?
Yeah. Hello.
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 HelloFresh.
Oh, hi, Fresh.
It's so great. Can I tell you something, Allison? I am not a whiz in the kitchen, but I like being in there. I have ADD. It's very hard for me to focus on shopping for ingredients, on measuring ingredients, but I enjoy the bonding experience of cooking with my daughter. We're always looking for things to do together, and we get in the kitchen together with a box of HelloFresh, and I don't have to go to the store. But it's just fun. It's fun. And we laugh and we throw flour in each other's faces and we break eggs over each other's heads. No, we don't. But they do in the movies.
You could, though.
We could. It would be really fun. But it's 30 minutes. It's not a big deal.
They sent, right? So this is the company that sends you, I say like I don't know. I know. I love them too. They send you everything you need to make a delicious meal. And it's all like pre-proportioned and stuff. So you feel like you're like you had a sous chef help you.
And also, they sent me something that said over 4 in 5 HelloFresh customers say HelloFresh helps them lead a healthier lifestyle, and delicious low-calorie, carb-smart, and vegetarian options are available every week. Who's the 5th person? That's what
someone who I don't care for that person's opinion.
Don't care for that 5th person. No. As far as I'm concerned, HelloFresh should only send these meals to the first 4.
Yeah.
And don't even send them to every 5th person.
No. That 5th person, they just want, there's always a critic.
Yeah.
I'm the 5th person. Okay, we get it. Are you happy now? You got our attention.
Yeah, why don't you go into one of these mommy groups and cut down some young woman's ego while you're
Yeah.
at it? So anyway, listen. Go to HelloFresh.com/childish12, the number 12, and use code childish12 for 12 free meals, including free shipping. How do you say no to that?
You
Support the
can't.
podcast by treating yourself to some HelloFresh. It's HelloFresh.com/childish12. Use code childish12. It's highly encouraged that you do this if for your health, for your well-being, for your lifestyle. It makes you feel good. So do it.
Plus, we need to outnumber that fifth person.
America's #1 meal kit.
Ooh.
Yep.
Wonderful.
That's no joke.
All right. Now, should we do some news?
Yeah, why don't you start?
All right. So, your friend and mine, Dax Shepard, I don't think I've ever met him. Maybe I met him once. I want him to be my friend. I don't know him personally. But he shared the story of how he told his kids about his relapse after 16 years of sobriety. So he and Kristen Bell have 2 daughters, and I am trying to find their ages, but I want to say they're like 8 and 6, but I think I might be totally wrong. Okay, there's so many words here, and I can't find it. But anyway, they have 2 young daughters. Don't quote me on the ages. 8, what? Do they have 2 8-year-olds? You know what? That aspect is not important. 2 young daughters, and he is very open with them about the fact that he is an alcoholic and that he goes to AA. And he shared this was on Chelsea Clinton's new podcast that he shared some of this.
No,
story.
Chelsea Clinton has a podcast.
Did you not know this?
By the way, he's got 2 daughters. Lincoln Bell is 8, and Delta Bell is 6.
Well, then I have an issue with today.com because it says that Lincoln is 8 and Delta is 8. I mean, I can show you right here.
Well,
that's not going to really come alive for the audio listeners.
2 different sources here that say 8 and 6.
No, you're right, though, because in the subhead, it says Shepard and wife Kristen Bell share 2 daughters, Lincoln 8 and Delta 6. So it was a misprint, and I didn't see it in the front. You know what? I'm going to allow us to move on. Yes, so 2 young daughters, and yes, Chelsea Clinton has a podcast. I recently tweeted, Obama and I both post about our new shows on Mondays, because both Obama and our podcasts come out Mondays.
Uh-huh.
Remember when it didn't used to be like this, Greg?
It was me, you, Rogan, Carolla,
Marin,
Chris Hardwick. That was it.
That was it.
And
that was
now it. There are millions of podcasts. So we have to, accept that the pie is, well, first of all, the pie's getting bigger because more people are listening. So as more people come in, Chelsea Clinton starts podcasting, there's a bunch of people that are going to start listening to podcasts for the first time because she's like a rock star.
You're right. I do like Chelsea, but I'm just saying I feel that no, you know what? You're right. I'm good with it. So anyway, it was on Chelsea Clinton's podcast, and his daughter wanted to come to an AA meeting with him, and then he explained, oh, you have to be an alcoholic. So anyway, they're just very open with their kids. And then he was prescribed painkillers somewhat recently, and after 16 years, he relapsed and started trying to get his own pills. And then he came clean about it to his podcast co-host and to his wife and also to his kids. But it was interesting to me because it just made me wonder, or made me think about how to deal with these things with your children. And I'm wondering, Greg, how honest are you? How much do you talk about being sober with your kids?
Well, they both read my book, so they know that I struggled with drugs and alcohol. And they know that I don't drink now, but they see that I still can have a lot of fun at parties and at the table. And I think it's important for your kids to know that life was not easy for you and you overcame things. Mm-hmm. And I also think that if you've got addiction issues, there's a decent chance that they inherit some of those proclivities. And so that much more important that they see that um, I think the important thing is you have to not paint it that if you smoke a little pot, you've got a huge problem, or
Right.
coming home drunk a couple times means you're an alcoholic. I mean, I think it's important to say there's a normal way of drinking, and then there's a point at which it can take over your life. And I
Mhm.
think that to model for them sobriety is great, but not before you let them have a shot. Like, I'm a big believer in like JoJo has a glass of wine with dinner a couple nights a week, you know, and I think it's important to introduce a little bit of that. And if you find out they smoked some pot, you don't like my friend grounded their kid for 6 months for smoking pot. I mean,
Six,
that
how old was the kid?
in high school it was like
6 months.
16 or
Wow.
something. I know, and it's like that kid is going to go crazy in college.
Yeah. And
So
also, they're going to stop, they're like, goodbye, any open lines of communication, I
exactly.
think.
So you know what John Mellencamp said: hold on loosely, but don't let go. Oh no,
Mm.
38 special. Because if you cling too tightly, you're going to lose control.
Oh, yeah, I get it now. Um, Something that or I find myself dealing with, and this fits under the category of like saying serious things to kids or not. I am now going out of my way to not use the word death around Elliot because I'm trying to stave off him knowing what it is. And I feel like it's just because the conversations are starting to go more in the direction where I know he's going to wonder soon. And I know we're going to have the conversation. And I remember that I was traumatized by or scared learning about it. I just think it's an upsetting thing. And I just feel like I don't want I don't want him to have to learn about it before he himself asks about it. But I also, there's something like weird and unnatural about, I feel like maybe I'm sheltering him too much. It's weird.
Well, what do you say? Like, Uncle John took a dirt nap or he
Well,
took a
there's no one,
powder?
well, no, I mean, there's no one specifically that has died that we're talking about.
What about, do you guys have gerbils or fish?
No, we just have a dog.
I think you
Um,
should get gerbils and fish because then they die. I think it kind of helps.
yeah,
Don't kill
yeah.
them, but
No,
they
I know what
will
you mean.
die.
Right, I know what you mean. Elliot has been asking for all sorts of pets lately. But like the Oscar in memoriam,
Yeah.
Daniel used the word die about 600 times in discussing the Oscar in memoriam. And I'm like, it's just a matter of, because Elliot is listening and asks a lot of questions. So a lot of times he'll say, what does that mean? Or what does that mean? And I feel like he's just going to innocently be like, what does die mean? And then I'm not going to want to lie to him. So this is a short phase where we just pretend the word doesn't exist. And then something will happen where we'll have to have the conversation.
Yep. I remember the first death I was aware of was there was a woman named Gloria Foster who was this really sweet woman who was friends with my parents and just took a shine to me. And there was a golf tournament near our house every year, the Westchester Classic, and all the big pros used to play at it. Jack Nicklaus, and Arnold Palmer, Lee Trevino, Chichi Rodriguez, and so she knew that I liked golf, and she took me 2 years in a row, just
That's
me
so
and her.
sweet.
She was an old
Oh,
lady, and she took me to the golf tournament. We
I love
walked
that.
around and watched the golfers, and then she died.
Mm.
And my parents told me, and I remember processing it, and it was very difficult to process. And they really helped me through it. They really talked through it with
Oh,
me,
good.
and they helped me understand. And look, we grew up Catholic, so it's a hell of a lot easier when you have a religious paradigm to default to when something like
Right.
that happens, as
Right.
opposed to your godless, insane, chaotic world.
I know. Well, that's something Daniel and I talked about because Daniel's like, I'm not opposed to talking to him about heaven to make it sort of easier to understand. And I was like that's another question is like, well, so do we tell him about what do we do? What do we say? Well, some people believe this, and then Daniel was like, well, I'm not even sure what I believe. I'm like, okay, well, that makes it easier for you. Um, I don't know. I'll probably read. I should probably read. I should. You know what? I'm going to listen to a podcast that gives advice to parents. I'm gonna see what they recommend.
I would say just take up religion. It's just easier.
Oh, that would be easier.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Here's something. Men, manly men like myself, that have traditional masculine characteristics such as competitiveness and adventurousness have been linked to being better fathers to infants. The men in this study, highly educated and from dual earner couples, combined those stereotypically masculine traits with the belief that they should be nurturing, highly involved fathers. But the men in this study combined those stereotypically masculine traits with the belief that they wrote this fucking twice. The researchers were surprised that traits often seen as old-fashioned male stereotypes were linked to more positive parenting behaviors. So,
did like Stetson hat sponsor this?
Stetson hats and Old Spice. Look, I think that I've always been annoyed by fathers that are too soft. And I think you're doing a kid a disservice to not play rough with them, to not set an example of like, I always wanted my kids to see me work out hard, to take a run and come back exhausted, and to build a fort with them, and to use power tools, and to denigrate women, like just little stuff, Allison. No, but I really think it's important that kids see that. I think that's lost on them. I mean, just as important is that you're nurturing and empathetic and all that stuff, but don't let go of being a fucking man.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I think that there is something nice about the duality of, and I'm not even going to say the mom and the dad, as much as like there being one parent, as much that they are getting messages of nurturing and also messages of grit or whatever you want to call it. And I don't like to use that word. I think we know why. But I mean, messages of like perseverance and struggling and challenge, and then also messages of compassion and tenderness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that kids, and I think that probably our demographic of West Side liberal parenting, I think the kids are getting two of the same parent too much.
Well, you know, it's interesting because Daniel roughhouses with the boys on the bed, and they love it. Like it is like the highlight of their, you know, week. He'll lift them up and like he'll lift, and he's very he's careful, but he lifts them and like throws them onto the bed. And I just stand there going, whatever, Owen, whatever, Owen, because I'm so afraid he's going to throw Elliot on top of Owen or vice versa, because they land on the bed and then they giggle and they're like, more, and they crawl back to him. And I'm just so afraid someone's going to land wrong or get hurt. And yet I tell myself like, but it's important, because I could put my foot down and be like, no, but I don't think I should.
No,
I think it's and I'm not going to.
No,
but,
and also don't like freak out while they're doing it, or you're gonna make them neurotic. Please just leave the room. Let the men have some fucking man time.
Okay, my kids are 4 and 2.
I don't give a shit. That's it. That's it. You know, you ever watch Kids in the Wild? Baby tigers? They go crazy with their babies. They throw them around and they, you know, it's important.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm breastfeeding, I don't come in and try to nuzzle.
Okay, fair point. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say something that's going to sound, I would just be pilloried for on that board. It's going to sound actually a little bit right-wing. But I think that as women, we have to be careful not to be so strident in the relationship that we are like, so that we become the dominant force and we are not allowing for another point of view.
Right. I think that we're going through a transition in parenting. And I think that the mother was by default the lead parent. and biologically still is. But to invite the husband to be a full partner, I think entails also giving him some room to
Yes.
do those masculine things and to bring that to the table and
Right.
to not try to control that. And because if you don't, he's not going to do it. You're going to, all of a sudden, you're going to be like, how come you're not more involved with the kids? It's like, well, because you make me feel judged and you cut me off every time I do. So, men are little pussies. And if we're shut down, we just walk away. We just take our ball and we go home.
Yeah. Agreed, Greg.
All right. That's why we play dysfunctional.
Codependent crossfire.
Codependent crossfire, where we always agree in the end.
Should we do some highs and lows?
Yeah, why don't you do a high for me? I want to hear your high.
I have a high. So it starts out as a little bit of a low, but then it turns into a high. So Owen had not pooped in a week.
No.
Yes. Yes, each day.
More like knowing.
That's right. Each day it was like, has he pooped? No. Has he pooped? No. Has he pooped? No. So I reached out to a lovely pediatrician that I know, and I mentioned this, and she said, you don't need to worry, but it's time to do something. And she recommended giving him Miralax. Do you know what that is?
Is it a laxative?
Yes, it is. But it's like a kind of well-known one that's supposed to be, it like draws water into the stool. I had used it during pregnancy, and I don't know if I just took too much, but I found it to be not gentle for me. Like, just, it's funny, looking at the bottle, I felt my guts kind of crunch. Like in the same way that if you got sick from tequila, smelling tequila might make you heave. This has no smell or taste, but even, I swear to God, just being around it, my guts were like, it might be go time. Anyway, we gave him a little bit. He started audibly farting like seconds later, and within an hour, he had started going. So he is happier now. What's weird is he never seemed that unhappy, and I was like, how is that possible? He didn't seem to be in pain, but
what was the first bowel movement like? Was it a lot?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was hard. It was hard. It was like a big hard log, and it took him a while to pass it. He was standing there, like with his butt, leaning forward with his butt out, going like, and this is a visual, so youtube.com/Allison Rosen. It'll be there after the fact, going like, and then he'd be calm for a second, and then he'd bear down again, like that, and his face would turn red. But then it came out. It was like a plug.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's awesome.
It is weird how much better I feel now that he's gone to the bathroom.
It's so great too when a product works.
Yes.
As promised. That simple. It's that simple.
Right.
Well, you didn't have to go in for a visit. It was just a phone call, right?
That's right. Yeah. Nice. I did not have to go in. What about you?
My high is that I went to, I've done a couple road dates, but I went to Philly, which is top 2 clubs in the country. And I love the city of Philadelphia. I have a lot of friends there. I had a super social weekend. I had shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Each night I had dinner with different friends, and the room kicked ass. We got big crowds. Well, 50% capacity. So they were as full as they could be.
Yeah.
But magic. They were laughing so hard, Allison Rosen. They were so happy to be back out at a comedy club again. It was like sex. It was so intense. I was doing new stuff, old stuff, crowd work. It was just so much fun. And it reminded me why I love stand-up, which I kind of needed because it's been a year. And I was feeling a little bit like your son before he took a shit, like wondering what's it going to be like again. Because the first times I've done it recently they were good, but it didn't feel magic. But this felt like magic again.
That's so great.
Yeah.
When you're do you like do your set in the bathroom at your hotel beforehand, or none of that?
No.
You don't run through it or anything like that before?
No, I usually will have some thoughts and I'll jot them down, and then I bring a piece of paper up on stage with just like a couple words for each thought. Mm-hmm. And then I'll kind of riff on it, but I'll know the beats in my head. And then I tape record the set, and then I listen to it the next day. and I might write down more notes based on some things I might have riffed that I can use again. And then you just keep building it out like that until it's a pearl.
That's so great. I'm so happy for you. And you
Thank
got to
you.
be social. You're
Yep.
now, I did my show yesterday and I talked to some of the people on my show were talking about how they had started hugging people now that everyone around them and they are, at full immunity. I haven't really been social yet, except for the family. I need
Yeah.
to get out there and touch some people.
Wait, you have your shots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't, I had like an outdoor play date, but I haven't really done anything social yet.
Mm.
But I'll tell you, Greg, I almost suggested that we record this in person today.
You think you're ready?
I think I might be ready.
I think I could be ready. I think we could do it again.
Yeah. I mean,
do you have your cameras set up? Because people on YouTube are expecting video.
Well, that's the problem. I don't.
Well, don't yell at me.
I was yelling at me. But I mean, I have them here. I just don't have it set. It's a whole thing. But, if we were to forgo that aspect of it, then I feel like I could just come to you and we could record in your studio.
Okay.
I mean, how long has it been? Do you still remember the bathroom code? I'm going to need to use it.
Oh, right. Right. I better make sure I get it because I think they changed it again.
Now, do they still not clean the bathroom? Because I want to come in and I want to see poop that's been in the toilet for this entire pandemic.
The ladies' room is dirty, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't do a great job of cleaning around here. That's for sure.
No, but you know what? I would never ever mention that to anyone on the moms board. Oh my God. They would crucify anyone who ever commented about that. And I was just mentioning it as a joke. I don't feel that as a white woman, I deserve a clean bathroom. I want to make that clear. That's not what I'm suggesting.
Once again assuming that somebody of color is cleaning the bathroom?
I don't even know. No, because I think there's a class element regardless of what the person cleaning looks like.
Right.
I don't even think I disagree. I just hate them.
Is that your low?
No. My low is, picture this, Greg, coming out to the studio to interview Mary Lynn Ricecup.
Nice.
She's on my show this week. She's so great. We talked very briefly about, I asked her, was she at your 50th birthday party? And she said she was, because I remembered having seen her there. I had the best show with her. But on my way to the studio, I was distracted, not thinking, and Pete, cut that out.
Wait, what?
I pulled the door.
On your way to what studio? In your backyard?
Yeah, my backyard studio.
Yeah.
Hang on. I have to officially clear my throat. What is going on? Excuse me. I closed we have the French doors that open out onto the studio. I closed the door behind me in this sort of absent-minded, head in the clouds way, and just slammed the door on my fingertip. Ooh. It did not come off, but the pain just shot up my hand and kind of up into my arm. And it was so distracting. That was my low. I know I said it as if I had more to say.
That is some serious white privilege, Allison. That
was
the worst thing that happened to you all week.
It's finger privilege. Not everyone even has fingers. It was more than my nail, Greg. It was my whole fingertip.
Is it wrong that the guy that he's our handyman, and we need him to redo the stairs in the back, and he quoted me, I thought, a very high price, and I told him that it was too high, and I made him give me another quote, which he did. He went from $3,500 down to $1,900, which just goes to show you he was shooting way high.
Yeah.
Was that white privilege? Am I allowed to counter my Latino handyman?
Yes, but then you have to give him the difference as a tip.
Right. Right. My low was, and I don't want to go into details about it because I think that I try to respect my kids' privacy, but let's just say that we had a not a fight. We had an incident with my daughter, not an action based. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, um, it was something that I feel sometimes like we avoid hard conflict in our family. Because in my family, it was knockdown, drag out. It was shaming you, trying to make you feel like a piece of shit, maybe physical violence. And so I think I've gone so far out of my way to avoid it going to that place that I give in to tears too easily.
Yeah.
And granted, part of it is also that I have gone to therapy and I understand that the best thing to do in many situations is to just listen and to just try to understand and to reflect rather than give advice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I found I had an interaction with my daughter and my wife. Me and my wife against my daughter. It turned into
Mm.
where we had to go back and talk to her again and go like, you know what? We didn't say our piece. We kind of let you slide a little bit. And so I don't know if it's a low. I think it's kind of a low in the sense that I hope that, like, I feel like she's not comfortable now with conflict because we haven't provided healthy conflict to her as much as we could have. And part of that is thinking that the right thing to do with your kid is to
Make everything
be so
soft and
empathetic
nice.
and to
Yeah.
make things nice. And I don't know that that prepares them for the real world. So I've been it happened a couple nights ago and I've been thinking about it a lot.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. Um, and kids have, and I don't even know what the right thing is, but in trying to not create big emotions in our kids, I think they oftentimes do get away with stuff that we probably shouldn't let them get away with. I know we're talking
Mm.
about two totally different ages, but a lot of times with Elliot, it's like, okay, we could enforce this and have a huge meltdown, or we could just find a way to accept it, which is not the best for him. So what was the time period in between when you let it slide and when you came back around to say we have more to say?
Me and Erin sat down for like 20 minutes on the couch. And
Oh, that's not very long.
I'm picturing but we talked hard about it for 20
Yeah.
minutes. And I just picture my parents spending 20 minutes discussing parenting. Like, I just don't think that ever happened. I think that in the moment they reacted and then they went back to what they were doing.
Yeah,
And
same.
you just kind of figured it out on your own or internalized shitty feelings on your own. And, I think it's good. I just wonder sometimes about, on this show, I think we put out a certain sensibility about parenting that we stand behind. But I also wonder if we don't live in this parenting bubble of being really soft.
Sometimes, I mean, I do think that it is up to the parents to hold the line,
Yeah,
whatever the given situation is. I mean,
right.
that is the kind and loving thing to do. Like, you got to be loving, but be firm. And it's hard.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it is.
and it's one thing when we're talking about a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Um, but, and I mean, the specific thing I'm talking about with the meltdown is like Elliot wants to come in and be part of putting Owen to bed. And I think that it deprives Owen of special me and Owen time, and also it just kind of makes it harder for Owen to get sleepy. But at the same time, it's so sweet that Elliot wants to be part of it, and attempts to kick him out don't seem to work. Whatever, that's a separate thing. But it just gets more complex the older they get. So I don't know specifically what's going on with your daughter, but I
Mm.
imagine it's much more complex.
Yeah, I mean, it almost doesn't matter what the issue is as much as my reticence to let the RPMs go a little bit higher
Right.
and trust that we can, because I think you need to burn out anger. I think that living with another person, it creates some tension. Stuff
Mm-hmm.
builds up, and then sometimes when you let it out and you do a little scream, I don't know if you have to scream necessarily, but experiencing emotions at a higher level, I think can kind of clean things out a little bit. I think it's healthy to let it go a little bit hotter.
Yeah, I that's really interesting. Daniel and I have been talking about that lately about like what is a healthy expression of anger? Because
Yeah.
he'll get really mad and like he'll have the you know what? He's a very like controlled person. I don't mean to say that he's a rage monster or anything, but he'll occasionally have an outburst and I don't like it because I grew up around rage. So I am very overly sensitive to that. And like my dream for him, and this goes back to trying to control men a little bit, my dream for him would be for him to be like, I am so angry right now. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't freak me out.
Right.
But anything more than that is like too much for me. But I don't know. But I think we both need, he needs to work on like a healthier expression of it. And I need to work on not being so rattled by it.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. I think being able to handle the turbulence of a little bit of anger is depending on where you're from, it can really push some buttons. It can
Yeah.
be triggering, Allison. I
I'm,
said
I'm,
that word on Childish.
I'm familiar with that word.
Yeah.
Greg, we have everything figured out. Have you noticed?
Did we figure it out again?
I feel like we have figured everything out. It's pretty
Wow.
crazy. It's pretty
Yeah.
crazy the way we are so knowledgeable and humble. Did you want to do a voicemail?
Oh yeah, there was one that I really liked. Let's do the
Yes,
one with the woman who's got a very big personality.
let's do it. Now, I have to say, Pete cut this out. My hunch is people watching on YouTube are not going to hear it because I don't know why this is happening, but it is a new thing that's happening that is frustrating me. Uh,
Sorry, YouTube people.
Sorry, YouTube. Yeah. But you'll hear it on when you go listen to the episode, which I know you will do. Oops. Wait a minute. What's happening? Were you able to hear that little bit, Greg?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Joy. That was
Wasn't that
amazing.
cute?
I love it. What you guys missed was Joy singing a few different versions of potty songs. I love
Yeah.
it. That takes
Not all of which may not all may make the cut. We may just do the very first potty
we might.
song and let your imagination wander for the other ones. But I think it's I think it's something that are some of my warmest memories are having a diaper change song, having this old man song on you, putting them to bed, and like
Yeah.
just knowing that they're hearing your voice in the right tone is making them happy, and it keeps you sane, and it makes you laugh to come up with silly lyrics that people would be embarrassed by. So thanks for sharing your silly song. And if
thank
anybody
you.
else wants to share this song that they do when nobody else is listening, we would love to hear it.
Yes, I just want kudos to anyone who is willing to call into Childish and sing on our voicemail. Let me give you the number for songs or for questions or comments. It is 805-317-4243. Again, that's 805-317-4243. We also love receiving your emails. Send them to childishpod@gmail.com. Again, that is childishpod@gmail.com. And follow us on social media at Childish Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
And can I mention I'll be in Kansas City at the Kansas City Comedy Club this weekend. That is the 29th through May 1st, April 29th through May 1st. Come on out. Go to fitzdog.com to get some tickets. And I'd love to see you.
And listen to Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend, won't you? As I mentioned, Mary Lynn Rice Cub, and then a super fun Thursday show, which will be coming out the day after this, hence Thursday. I'm on Patreon, patreon.com/Allison Rosen, and I just introduced a new reward, which is people at the confidant level I give you a phone number and you can text me, and I text you back, and we just have text conversations. And unlike social media, certain social media places I go that make me sad, I've just been loving it. It's so much fun. And also, Greg and I are both on Cameo.
Yes, I got to do one right now, as a matter of fact, before it expires. All right, Allison, let's thank our fine producer, editor, Peter.
Thank you, Pete. You are the best.
And Allison?
Yes.
Can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Me too.
I'm Greg Fitzsimmons.
I'm Allison Rosen.
And we are Childish.
Okay.
Stop. Now, where did it go when I hit stop?